as you may or may not know, that the TDP schemes all do some of these adjudications for these providers. And
we do for a few of them.
But our relationship is with the agent. It's not with the landlord or the tenant. So we don't know what the landlord and tenant are being told. And it's up to the agent also to submit all the evidence to us. So how hard have they tried to contact the tenant? Because very often we don't have tenant evidence in our cases, having just talked to somebody who's dealing with them. So there are some concerns about these products and how they're being sold at the front end, and then how they're being managed and case handled at the end.
So if it was a less than ethical letting agent,
absolutely,
they could flog a product because they get commission, and perhaps put little work in at the end.
Well, that is the big danger. So the thing I want to pick up on, if I may, is Suzie's comment about the relationship TDP schemes have with no deposit alternatives. So of course no deposit alternatives want no deposits to feel a little bit like a traditional deposit. So they quote, or they come to people like Suzie and myself and say, will you do our adjudications for us? So they can go on their website and say, oh, don't worry, it's exactly the same as a traditional deposit because my deposits, or the tenancy deposit scheme or the deposit protection service, are doing the adjudication, so you're comfortable. But remember, as Suzie quite rightly said, we don't contract with the landlord or the tenant, we contract with the no deposit scheme. It's nothing to do with TDP, it's a service because we are experts in adjudication and dispute management. It is a service we provide for a commercial fee. We are charging for it, and we have a commercial arrangement with that no deposit alternative. If the landlord or tenant has an issue, they cannot contact Suzie or my team. They have to go through, because we have no contract with them. So if the agent doesn't want to submit the evidence, or thinks, actually, I've only going to submit that bit of the evidence, or he misses out key evidence, there's no comeback on us. They have to go back to the letting agent.
Presumably
and some of these schemes, Tessa, some of these schemes are run by letting agents. So it's all about profitability.
I mean, presumably the landlord and the tenant can complain to the ombudsman.
They can go to the property redress scheme or the property ombudsman. That would be an interesting discussion at a later stage as complaints start to come in. Do you anticipate that there will be a lot of complaints?
I think it's hard for us from a dispute point of view, because we're not liaising with the landlord and the tenant. We wouldn't know if they're going back and complaining. They have to go back to the provider, because we're just contracting for the service. So I think that's an interesting, whether the providers will ever be open and transparent about that, because there's no regulation. They don't have KPIs like we do. They have no reporting that they have to do.
So the adjudication service that you provide, it's sort of like a commercial mediation. So if you do alternative dispute or mediation in a commercial dispute as an alternative to going to court. So it's a similar thing.
But of course adjudication is binding. Does the landlord and the tenant, are they explained it's binding? Or is it the impression given it's a bit like an Airbnb, eBay, PayPal type of dispute where it's back and forth, and adjudication is binding. And if both parties agree to it, what are they signing up to?
So when the tenant signs up to the agreement, to the alternative deposit at the start, is there usually an option for them to say, I don't want adjudication, I'd like to go to the courts?
No, not at all. They have to use the scheme.
So they are cutting off the opportunity of going...
Well, they can always take the landlord to court, but ultimately, if there's an adjudication done, that's going to be the principle which a court is going to base its decision on.
Yeah.